Okay, cool. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You genuinely couldn't have timed that. You couldn't have timed it. Are you hearing this at home? We might add this, we might keep this. Genuinely couldn't make that up. It's absolutely incredible. I mean, I know I'm from East London, everyone, and we have a reputation, but we don't just summon car alarms, all right? This is a newsflash for you people out there that don't think much of East Londoners. You couldn't have made that up. I'm going to play chicken with the alarm. I'm going to play chicken. This is phenomenal. Could you just? Is this a Radio 4 comedy?
You have 1987 on your back.
Okay, guys, let's take advantage of this because we've got a van now. And for those of you at home that complain about the audio, my God. Okay. Hello and welcome back, and today is a very special video. We are going to do finally our burn video of the ioSafe 1019. We've already done a few comparisons, we've done a bunch of overviews, software and hardware, and now we are going to put this to the limits. We are going to set it on fire, we're going to cook this bad boy up, then we're going to submerge it in water and then see if the data that we put on it is going to survive. On top of that, we are also going to do an extra special test at the end, hopefully anyway, but I won't tell you about that too much at the moment. Now, what we're going to do, this has got 5 4TB Seagate Iron Wolf drives inside. Each one of those drives has got that rescue recovery service included, but we're not featuring that today. We are focusing predominantly and exclusively on the recovery of those disks. So what we're doing, we had a little discussion behind camera and we were wondering whether we should go for a RAID volume or individual drives. And because of the stakes, and we wanted to give this as many different instances as possible, we decided not to let this be in a RAID configuration. What we're going to do is have this as 5 drives independently, 5 drives each on JBOD. What that means is we're going to copy the same 50 gig or so of data onto each of those 5 disks. Then we're going to bring this, we're going to record that all on camera there, then we're going to move it down to a barbecue and we're going to cook this bad boy up. Then we're going to submerge it in water, then we're going to see if those drives survive. We're going to take the drives out of this and install them inside a Synology 1019 Plus to see if the data on those disks survive the intense heat and the water that's going to be submerged upon it. So let's make our way to the screen where I'll show you guys exactly about the setup that I'm going to be conducting today. The fan on this is pretty noisy, so I apologise if there's a lot of humming there in the background, but if we look at the screen here that I've got here in front of me, we can see all 5 of those disks there from drives 1 to 5. Each of them I've set up, if we go to the overview, as their own storage pool. So there's all 5 disks in each of their individual storage pools. We can look at each one of them. If we make our way over to File Station, we can see that all 5 disks are in their own shared folder. So we go there, we've got 5 disks, and each one of them, if we right click, you can see where it's located. So it's on the location of drive 1 in volume 1, whereas if we go for this one here, we can see drive 3 on volume 3. Likewise, on the control panel, we can see all 5 of those shared folders, and essentially what we have here is the full setup. There's the Seagate drives there as well. The full setup of these 5 drives being laid out independently. So the next step is going to be to transfer all of that data over. So let's open up one of these shared folders, and I've already prepared in advance a bunch of stuff from my old archive that's on a SSD here. We right click, we can see that we've got 50.6 gigabytes of data. So we're going to copy that. Actually, what we'll do is we'll drag and drop it into drive 1 and we'll let it overwrite. And we'll let those data files be transferred over, and then I shall copy all 50 gig onto each of these drives. Don't worry, I'm not going to make you guys watch all the way through that, but I will show you when the copy has been completed internally. Then we'll power down the device and take it for a bit of a burning. Again, we did have a debate about having the device running while we set fire to it, but logistically it does make it quite difficult. But for now, what I'm going to do is let this fast forward and we'll copy all of the data onto each of the individual drives and get ready for this NAS burning exercise. Right, so the transfer has taken place and I can confirm that all 5 drives have got that 50 gig of data on board. For example, if we look at this first drive, Control All, we look at the properties, we can see 50.68 gigabytes of data on that first disk. I apologise for the noise being a bit all over the place here. The fans on the ioSafe right now on this warm sunny day are really doing a number. Right, next we can have a look at this, move to the properties on drive 4, boom, 50.68, and I can confirm that this is the case on every one of these drives. Each hard drive has just over 50 gig of data on board of those exact same files. So without further ado, as you can see, we've go through them all. They've all got the same files and folders, the same amount of data on those 4 TB drives. So without further ado, I'm going to shut this device down and we're going to move this to the fire portion of this video. Let's move to the next screen. Right, so we've got the ioSafe set up now and we are going to set this damn thing alight. You've got myself and you've got Eddie the web guy, who I'm not going to say is a bit of a pyrotechnic, but he has been way too excited about today's video. I've got sunglasses on because this is one of the 7.5 hours a year in England that is indeed sunny. So Ed, I'm going to let you carry on doing what you're doing and I am going to voice over right now. So at the moment we've got this barbecue already laid out, we've got our briquettes, we've got our fire lighters, we've got everything we need to start a half decent fire. Eddie on the other hand is having difficulty lighting a small sheet of paper. Now this NAS weighs somewhere in the region, I believe of about 25 kilos fully populated, and therefore it was lots of fun getting this from the studio onto this barbecue. Now it's worth highlighting once again that this test is to test 2 things. We are testing 1, fire on this device. When we get this barbecue up and running, we're going to leave this on the barbecue for about 25 to 30 minutes, and then after that we're going to submerge it in the water. I know you can't see it just off shot. I'm going to step back now because we've got some fire coming up here, and the plan is after that length of time me and Eddie are going to lower this into a large drum of water in front of us for a period of time. Those cars go by. So right now we're going to leave this. We've laid some sausages out and I can't stress this enough. Don't do this at home, ladies and gentlemen, because it's not only incredibly stupid, those sausages won't cook properly. So what we're going to do is let the fire go for a little while before it sets fire to my face, and we're just going to do a few shots just to let you guys know how legitimate this test is, and we're going to fast forward things later on. Right now it is 2:07 PM. Let's move forward. Okay, so we are a little over 4 minutes into the test. I won't lie, the flames are getting bigger and those sausages aren't cooking. I think we may have to move those further down. Again, can't stress this enough. Don't do this at home, ladies and gentlemen, and don't eat sausages this way. There's so many reasons why you shouldn't do that. Now, we are going to leave this for a great deal longer than this, but we thought we'd give you a quick update to let you know these flames are looking up like crazy. We've already got a bunch of stock footage, which I'm sure has come on screen already, and we're going to catch you again in about another 10-15 minutes. Right, so the flames are starting to die down a little bit now. We've got those hot embers. Again, we're about 12 minutes into the video now, so we're going to start lowering this and letting some of that heat really cook up this NAS. Hopefully those sausages will be done too. Winner! Right, so we're about 19 minutes into our half an hour burn session and we've already started hearing sizzling. That means one of two things. Either the trademarked kind of condensed material that surrounds our hard drives has started reacting to the heat and cooling down the device, or the sausages are done. It could be either one of them. But we're going to go the full half an hour. Eddie, if you'd like to raise the roof, let's see how the NAS is cooking. Right, so, I guess the important question is, how are those sausages coming along, Ed?
I think they're very well done.
He's quite pleased with them. Now, for those that aren't aware, in the UK we have a brand of sausages known as Richmond sausages. And don't worry, this isn't paid placement. You couldn't give them to me. They're some of the worst sausages in the world. And for those out there that like a good sausage, this will come across as very disappointing. If you want to turn those, Ed, do we have our tools to hand? See, let's turn those over. Let's make sure we get a nice even cook on these horrendous sausages as we move forward. Not going to be too hot. No, our handle should be fine, and we'll leave that to carry on cooking. Now, for those who like a bit of wine with their meal, I think if you add maybe a glass and a half of white wine to your system, you will enjoy this video a lot more. That is paid placement, and I recommend it. Right, well, here we are. The 30 minutes are up. We're going to get this off of here. Ed, if you'd like to do the honours.
Sure thing.
First and foremost, let's have a priority here, people. I'd like a sausage. Let's have a look there. On there, why not? I hate my fingertips. Bang it on there. Bang those on there. Thank you very much. If only we had the noisiest noise in the world in the background. That would help. Sausage there. Let's get this bad boy going. Okay, so let's go. Tilt. Ooh, sorry, lost my grip there. So, there you go. We're now going to leave this hard drives down inside that water to see how things go. Fingers crossed, our data should be fine. We'll see you in a little under 10 minutes. Well, according to ioSafe, this can survive for up to 72 hours submerged in water. Now, in the event of you do get hold of one of these bad boys, the idea is that in the event of fire, when the firemen come along and douse a building in water, that it will survive in all of that water. Such as the 30-minute test we've done for flames, it's worth highlighting that flames travel through the building, so you shouldn't really be susceptible to high degrees of fire and heat longer than that 30-minute period. But we've gone for the full 30 minutes because we really wanted the sausages. So we're going to fast forward time now and move over to the recovery of these drives. Right, so we've submerged it in a little over half an hour. We're just going to empty out the water, let it dry off a little bit and get some of those drives out of this NAS. So let's bring this over here. Let's carry on. It is actually still surprisingly hot. Get the unit out of there. That's our NAS. Let's get some close-up shots. Have a close look. If you can see, we can still make out the logo. The LEDs have long gone. The USB there is all charred. It's still very, very hot to touch there, particularly on the base. Obviously that's where a lot of the circuit boards are. It's worth remembering, of course, that this device is designed that the hard drives are protected, but the circuit boards, the cables and the ports will almost certainly be lost. If we get this tilted over, remember this is about 25 kilos, this device, and some of those wires are weirdly intact. I mean, they're not connected to the fans anymore, and the ports have largely melted, but I've got to say that although the case looks a bit bulbous, it has done very well on those temperatures. So let's get these hard drives out of the case and get them tested. I'm going to leave this to dry for a little while, and then I'll get that front panel removed and get inside those hard drives. Right, so we've got the ioSafe back here in the studio. What we're going to do is see how well this still slightly hot device is going to do if we remove this front panel, get the hard drives out of the device, and then install them inside this DS1019 Plus. Let's keep nice and quiet throughout this, because I wouldn't be surprised if the hiss of air when we take this off will be audible. So there's screw number 1. Screw number 2. There's our front panel removed, and as we can see, the inside has expanded from the heat that has managed to escape and make this kind of explode out. Next, oh, the smell from this device here. There's lots of condensation inside, I can see there. So if we carefully remove this, we might hear that hiss. Did you catch that? It was very faint, that hissing noise. If we get that main panel off, inside we have some very, very clean hard drives. So let's go for bay 1. And what we'll probably do is fast forward to the completion of these drives being installed. And the last tray is done. Let's pop that in there. And our 4 trays are outside of this device. Now, as you can see from the inside of this device, although the outside is burnt and covered in condensation and still has water on the externals, the inside is still bone dry. Now, that is thanks to that stuff there on the outside that expands and is full of moisture throughout. But what we're going to do now is I'm going to boot up this Synology, this DS1019 Plus, and we're going to access it on that PC with Synology Assistant to see if 1, those drives are okay, and 2, is our data intact. It's worth mentioning that when you do get hold of one of these bad boys, it includes data recovery for a number of years, as well as assistance in the recovery process. You won't need to have one of these, but still, nevertheless, I'd recommend if you are getting yourself an ioSafe 1019 Plus, it never hurts to have one of these somewhere in the background, in the back of an office, so when you do need to conduct a recovery, you can always get the drives out and into this. But I'm speaking a little bit ahead of myself. Let's find out if our drives are successful. Let's boot this bad boy up and move over to the screen. It should only take a few minutes. Have a blue light there. I don't know how well you can see that with all the stuff in the way. Move that out, and what we'll do is we'll give this a few minutes to appear on the user interface here on the PC. Let's move over to there now. Right, so I've scanned the local area network after 6 minutes, and there we are. There is a disk station NAS, and it's saying its status is recoverable. So let's double click and make our way into this NAS and see what happens. It's going to be recovering the system. Let's see how well this does. And the hope is that we still manage to maintain the 50.6 or 50.9, whatever gig of data that is located on each and every one of the 5 drives that we installed on our ioSafe 1019 Plus and have now migrated over to our Synology DS1019 Plus. I'm not going to make you wait for this whole period here. We're just going to fast forward now and get through to when this system recovery completes. Right, so the carryover seems to have been completed and the Synology Assistant has refreshed. So let's make our way into the NAS. We can see that the name has changed over to ioSafe, even though this is a Synology 1019 Plus. So that's a good sign already. Let's log in with our original login information and make our way into this device and have a look at the data that's on it. It is saying that the ioSafe is working well, but let's make our way into the device and see whether our data is okay. Make our way into File Station. There are our 5 drives, one by one. There's the 5 drives, all on screen there. Let's right click, let's have a look at the properties of drive 1, 50.6. Let's look at the drive number 2, 50.6. Drive number 3, I think I know which way this is going to go, 50.6. Drive 4, 50.6. And finally, let's go for the money, 50.6 on drive 5. So all 5 drives have been absolutely fine. And I'm going to go as far as to say this has been a damn fine success. Now, there are a few things to bear in mind. First and foremost, when you do have one of these devices and it is caught in a fire, ioSafe strongly recommend that in the case of water, if your NAS is submerged in water, to leave it there because it will maintain the recovery a lot better in any other circumstance. But nevertheless, we've managed to not only flame this NAS in a number of ways because it isn't an airtight unit outside of that drive bay, but on top of that, we've submerged it in water for half an hour and still our drives are fine. There they all are, all 5 disks. There's our storage pools, and everything about this device is absolutely fine. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I don't know about you guys, but I've really enjoyed filming it. It's the middle of the summer here in the UK, and it's nice to know it can get warm, albeit a little bit too warm when you're this close to a NAS on fire. If you've got any questions about this device, do let me know in the comments below. But otherwise, I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. Don't forget to click like and subscribe to see more, and I look forward to seeing you next time.